it took a while to get to it, but I finally got through the first couple episodes of She-Hulk. I've also heard all the opinions about how, about only one source I'm saying this ain't that bad. It's actually okay. Another one saying it's the worst thing since the Holocaust. Okay. It's not that bad, really. The writing is competent enough as far as hitting the comedy beats and stuff, and some of the jokes are kind of obvious. Tatiana Maslany is perfect one for this part, I think. And really, and the CGI is a lot better than it's been in the trailers. Okay, they did work it up, and it's actually okay. I will say this is a lawyer show, supposed to be, so they need to get somebody in there who has experience doing lawyer shows. Get a couple of writers from Ally McBeal. Get a lawyer and there's a technical advisor. So you can point out, no, this would now. One thing was brought up is the fact that she got fired for being. She was a deputy district attorney. They have different priorities. They don't need the business. So they do have a point of view of, is the presence of this attorney going to cause people to attack the courtroom in this case? And yeah, I could see that point there. Just a thing here. There we go. So I can see the city letting her go. That's not. I don't see that as really a credibility issue. And as far as other law firms not wanting to hire her, I can. It's something that probably should have gone into a little more. But I can see an issue where they don't necessarily want to be a part of this superhero circus. So, okay, I'll buy that to a point. There's a lot of things that's like, yeah, they're workable, but they should have gone into them a little more to explain them. And again, I think this is where they really could use a lawyer as a technical consultant. And I'm sure there's lawyers out there who are also comic book fans, okay? So they would be able to balance through things. And they do lay on the feminism stuff a bit much, but also if you look back at the Jen is a little bit of has a bit of a feminist streak in her, so it's not totally out of character. She's definitely, Tatiana's definitely got the attitude. That is not a problem, and she's got that kind of face that John Byrne would just love. And that's another thing, something that Anna, also known as a Star Wars girl, she did point out a few things that they probably are going through talking points because it does. Did you really read the John Byrne run or any of the comics? For the most part, I don't think they're pulling from the Chris Claremont thing about having Titania attacking, because Titania is an established enemy of She-Hulk. They fought many times before. It doesn't necessarily be that one issue. And again, I did call Anna on the one thing because she repeatedly referred to as Chris Claremont's run. One 11-page backup story in a totally different comic book. It was in Solo Avengers 14. She did finally bring that up. That doesn't qualify as a run. I'm sorry. That's one story. A short one, too. A good one, but a short one. Because I'd been, I fell in love with this character when John Byrne was writing her in the Fantastic Four. And I definitely snagged up every issue during the second series. I haven't read any of the original Savage She-Hulk one. I definitely haven't bought any since Byrne gave it up. Steve Gerber issues are pretty good, but that's an aside. It's supposed to be a lawyer show. You better get somebody who knows how to do a lawyer show, and these aren't they're very specialized genres. It's like what's going on with Star Trek Discovery. Most of the writers have no freaking clue about writing a science fiction show. In general, never mind. Star Trek is a specialized thing within science fiction. They're experienced science fiction writers had problem writing Star Trek. So sorry, Gilmore Girls does not qualify to write Star Trek, but that's another issue too. We've gotten the predictable, comedy beats. She has to go home to the family and explain all this stuff, and the usual kind of thing. Oh, I know, a nice young man. Like, no, please. Hey, it's not that bad. It's got problems. And as far as the big glaring thing is one of the things that sets She-Hulk apart is as opposed to Banner, who considers the Hulk a curse. No, she loves being She-Hulk. As long as she gets to that point pretty soon, I'm okay with what we've seen so far, because it's a bit of a shock to me, and also the change in the origin story. The back alley transfusion set up by Bruce, who, by the way, is a nuclear physicist. I don't think he was ever established as a... The only time he was established as a medical doctor was in the TV series with Bill Bixby. In the comics, he was a physicist. He was not a doctor. He was a medical doctor. And with Kid Sis, who's in the Netherlands now, being a trained phlebotomist, I was her final. Okay, I've been on there and knowing a few things about you trying to run a thing into a vein. That's not a job for amateurs. In fact, the worst blood draw I ever had when I was in the hospital was by a doctor. Doctors generally don't do this. Nurses do this. Trained phlebotomists do this. Doctors, you're lucky they even know how to, do an injection of vein. No, seriously. When I was in the VA for the ruptured appendix in '94. Steph's over here laughing. I had nurses that were able to do a blood draw. I never even felt it. They were so damn good because they do it all the damn time. The one time I had one of my doctors try to do a blood draw, he didn't brace it right. He couldn't, and it hurt. I'm lucky I didn't bleed out. Frankly, I didn't know why he did it. No, I didn't.
I remember when I was in the hospital in Kissimmee.
Yeah,
Mackie told him where to stick.
Yeah, because she had to, because the guy they had doing blood just didn't know what he was doing either. So this is not something if you hit it wrong, you hit the wrong thing. You hit an artery instead of a vein. Bad things happen, okay? So I have no problem with them. Plus, also, like Paul Chato said in his reviews of these, sitcoms operate under different rules. You got to hit your point, and you got to get there. You got to get everyone to the sitcom status as fast as possible. This is not a long, drawn-out Marvel drama thing where you got a big origin. No, get them there, as fast. And I get, as long as the Hulk blood gets into her blood, I'm fine. Okay? And frankly, the commingling of two open wounds makes a little more sense, frankly, than Bruce having to do having to try and jury rig a transfusion. Okay? They didn't spend much time in the comics for that matter. 2 or 3 panels and boom. The same thing. Get to the meat of the story as fast as possible. And well, as long as they can, and I think the stuff I've seen so far, she does get to the point where she likes being She-Hulk. Eventually, it's going to take there's a little bit of a learning curve. Because the thing where she's at, I guess, some kind of support group, your hot friend who's like, hello, yeah, she gets there. When she happily takes on the guys trying to mug her, let's do this, and she'll get there. Okay. So I don't mind a little bit of a curve there, a little bit of a learning curve. But yeah, if they're really going to make a lawyer show of this and do, gamma irradiated Ally McBeal, they better get somebody who knows how to do a comedy lawyer show. It's, if they got to get David E. Kelly himself, I'm sure they got the money to hire him for a few weeks. But it's not bad, okay? It's not going to set the world on fire necessarily, but it's not bad, okay? And speaking of differing opinions, I'll be doing one on Lower Decks pretty soon here too. So, till then, like, share, subscribe, and I'm trying to build this channel back up to where it should be by now. We're finally in a stable position, more or less. I finally made the first rent payment we've done in 15 years. Yes. Well, yes. Any donations and PayPal stuff and Patreon stuff are definitely appreciated. Do have a line on an actual job. Hopefully they'll come through soon. And they bought enough time for them to finally come through. But we're on the road to recovery, kids. And with your help, what the hell? There we go. Something blacked out there. All right, we can get there and build this channel, and finally get to where I should have been 3 or 4 years ago. But we will talk at you later.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Well, the man is ignored. Action is his reward to him. Life is a great big bang up. Whenever there's a hang up, you'll find a spider.